welcome to Thursday's Live with Chug. My name is Neha Mahajan. I'm the Business Development and Outreach Manager at Chug LLP Attorneys and CPAs. A very warm welcome to all of you who are joining us from across North America or even across the globe. Hello and welcome. International adoption and other immigration options for children. This is the topic that we're going to be talking about in today's discussion. We will discuss about different green card options, qualifications, and other factors that you need to consider when applying, right? Now, any family looking to adopt internationally knows that it's an uphill task. You know, there's never-ending paperwork. You might have to make a few visits to the country that you're looking to adopt from. There could be a home study that needs to be completed, or even a court hearing. All of this sounds really intimidating, but you're in good hands because our attorneys are, and you know, they're an expert, and that's why I want to introduce our attorney, our expert for today, who will help you with making this entire process smoother. Attorney Ishan Anand from Virginia office. Hello there, Ishan. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Neha, for inviting me today.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, Ishan, we're going to talk about your expertise, which is international adoption process and the laws that govern the process. Clearly, this is very intimidating for people who are looking into the process, right? Who could be future parents to these kids. I'm sure some of our audience members are interested in knowing about different rules which are complicated. Am I right?
Sure. They are hugely complicated. And they seem simple because there's a lot of hearsay involved. People talk, okay, if you are a US citizen, you can adopt a child and then the child will be a green card holder. So generally people come to us when they have already adopted a child. And that's the worst thing you can do. The first thing you should do is to consult an attorney before touching the subject. So that's why we are here. We'll talk about it. So let's see.
Right. So if you're a family who are thinking about adoption, we'd suggest that you get an attorney involved from the onset of it, instead of, you know, having done the entire process and then involving an attorney, because it's a child's life that is at stake. It's as simple as that. So when we talk about international adoption, I gather Hague Adoption Convention is an important part of the process, right? I know you're smiling, but I really want to know which major countries are part of the convention.
There are a lot of countries there. Countries come and go. Some countries sign treaties. Some say we want to withdraw. But generally, India, Australia, Germany, Japan, Colombia, they are there. And there are other countries too.
Okay. Why is Hague Adoption Convention important?
See, when the child is involved, countries, governments, courts, professionals, they look at only one thing. And the one thing is the best interest and welfare of the child. The Hague is involved because the rules are such to protect. Sometimes human smuggling is involved. Okay, people go there, adopt a child, bring the child with them, and they smuggle basically. Yeah. So Hague Convention, there are treaties. You have to follow certain rules, guidelines to make sure it's in the best interest of the child, the adopted, the people, like the family they are trying to adopt, right, and the biological parents. So we have to we have to make sure that everybody's interest is safeguarded.
Right. Now, you mentioned there are special requirements that are part of this convention, right? What are those special requirements specifically for international adoption process?
So, first of all, we have to, before you start the process, first of all, I would like everybody to understand that the moment you think about adopting a child, you go consult an attorney, because the first concern we see, you have to make sure and think about where the child is from. If it's a Hague Convention country or not, if the child is orphan or not, there's a different definition for orphan in immigration law. And if you have lived with the child, how long you have lived with the child, before or after adoption, that's also true. And also then, once you decide all those things, then home study is involved. The home study is basically conducted by a social worker or an organization which is licensed in your state. Then they will come to your house, they will check if your house is suitable for a child, and then they will conduct a background on you and your household members, go through the FBI clearance, and then how much you're earning, and if you have ever done some kind of domestic violence or not.
Yeah.
Many things are involved.
Got it.
Medical professionals will come and check your medical background. They want to make sure that you are suitable to be an adoptive parent.
Got it. That's a great explanation. But a question that comes to my mind is, if someone is trying to adopt internationally, and this might sound like a very silly question, but I think it must be coming to a lot of people. If an international adoption is what you're talking about, how do local agencies get involved? At what point do they get involved, and how?
The thing is, if you see the laws are involved, different laws, U.S. federal, U.S. state, adoption laws of their home country, right? Then local agencies, because lawyers cannot go to a client and perform a home study because there's a conflict. We want our client to be able to get the adoption done, right? But that's why there's a separate independent agency who will conduct a home study and provide a report that, according to us, this family is suitable for adoption. They can adopt. Yeah. And then also adoption service provider outside the country who knows, people who know what kind of laws there are in the country of the birth of the child.
Yeah. Okay. So you talked about home study. What are the other steps that are involved in the process?
Home study, and then we have to, again, we are talking about Hague, right?
Yeah, correct. We're talking about
different Hague also. So in Hague Convention, so once you are done with the home study, then you file a form with the USCIS. Basically, it's an application to find suitability for you. Once the USCIS conduct and comes up with the answer that yes, you are suitable, then you can go ahead and adopt the child from outside. Basically, then the agency will go there and tell their government, like, okay, this person wants to adopt this child if you already have a child in mind. So again, think about it. You cannot adopt before going through the process.
Right.
90% of the people that come to us, they already have a child, and they already adopted a child in the first place. Then they come to us. We have adopted a child. Now tell me what to do. And I'm like, okay.
So that's like you've adopted a child on paper, and now you want to bring the child to the country. And what do you do about it, right? I mean, there's an entire, not just immigration aspect of it, but local agencies that will need to be involved.
Yeah, federal laws, and then their local laws, and then state law where you live.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens in the case? So this was a Hague Convention process, right? What happens in a non-Hague, or when when a person is looking to adopt an orphan? What happens in that case?
So first of all, we have to establish that the person is orphan. This definition. Either the parents are dead or deserted the child, abandoned, neglected the child. I'm talking about both parents. So suppose one is alive and the other one is dead. So we have to prove that the one who is alive deserted the child or is incapable of taking care of the child. Then the child will be called an orphan child, and then we can start the orphan petition. And also there's another petition that is family petition. So we have to first, once the family, the moment the family decides that we have to go through the adoption process, they come to us. First, we analyze if the process will be through Hague or non-Hague.
Okay.
Will the child be considered as orphan or not? So we have to check. So suppose if it's a family petition, then you have to go check if you have lived with the child for at least 2 years and took sole custody, meaning assumption of responsibilities of the child. You're taking care of the child, which school the child will go, taking care of him, the child financially, doctor's visits, everything. You are taking care of it. And then you are living with the child for at least 2 years. Doesn't matter before or after adoption. But
Yeah.
so we have to consider a lot of things. And then, so again, the criteria is if you are married, then you both have to file a petition. And you both, and the background check. If you are not married, yes, single also. If you are single, you can also adopt. For that, you have to be at least 25 years or older, and you have to be a U.S. citizen. And if there's
Okay.
a family, the person who is adopting has to be a U.S. citizen, and the other one has to be a green card holder.
Got it. So
All
what
right?
happens if the person who wants to adopt a child is actually on visa here, right? And
Yeah.
they want to adopt someone, a child from another country, and want to bring the child to United States of America to live with them, and they might be okay on all the other processes and standards that are needed for adoption, but except for the fact that they are not a citizen or a LPR yet, legal permanent resident yet. What happens in that case?
Same thing. If you do not have a status, you cannot pass on that status to somebody. If you are not a U.S. citizen, you cannot make somebody a U.S. citizen.
Yep.
So you can adopt, bring the child here. The child will come as an alien, meaning with the status what you have. Maybe if you
But
have
as a
an
dependent on
H1,
the status.
yeah, so you cannot. So what we are talking right now, this is something extraordinary, meaning the child generally will come as a U.S. citizen. Child will directly derive a U.S. citizenship once the child enters with a visa. If the adoption happened outside, then the child will come here, and then the child will automatically get a certificate of citizenship.
Okay.
That's
If you
something
are a
else.
US citizen, if you are a citizen, at least one of the parents is a US citizen.
And then another one is at least a
Legal
lawful
permanent.
resident. Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's very interesting, So we spoke about eligibility requirement for kids, right? What about the eligibility requirement for parents? Like what kind of I would imagine financial statements, background checks. So what kind of process is involved in this?
Same thing. So criminal background check, FBI clearance, and domestic violence is very big. They cannot let a child be with a parent who is involved in domestic violence before, right? Medical history, finances, how much you earn, where you live, what kind of house you have, do you have enough space for a child? So that's a part of home study.
Okay.
Conduct a home study, meaning when they conduct a home study, they conduct a background check on you, everything they will come up with, and then they will write a report. Okay, according to our research, this family is okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a home study is definitely conducted whether you are a Hague Convention, adoption convention, or a non-Hague adoption convention, right?
Orphan, yes, but family petition, no.
Okay. So what is a family petition?
So in family petition, basically, again, it's complicated. So here's the thing. Suppose somebody is a U.S. citizen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this person wants to adopt somebody outside the country.
Mm-hmm.
So the person adopted the child, already adoption happened. Mm-hmm. And then now they file a petition because in U.S. immigration, the child includes adopted child.
Yeah.
Now this person has an adopted child outside. Now he files I-130, and once the I-130 is pending, the USCIS sends an RFE asking if the child is from Hague. Okay, Mr. Why you did not follow Hague Convention rule?
Yeah.
Right? So the requirement in this I-130 is you have to live together, meaning you have to show joint residency for at least 2 years. Suppose I adopt a child today. I have 2 years of joint residency. The child is here with me. Or maybe, see, I was in India, so I adopted a child. Basically, you have to adopt a child before 16th birthday.
Right.
All right? Child cannot be 18 and then you adopt. No, the adoption has to happen before the 16th birthday. I adopted a child. I lived with the child for 2 years, and then I moved to the US, right? And I moved to the US, and then I can file I-130, tell USCIS that I was the sole legal custodian of the child, adopted this child, lived with the child 2 years, and now I want to bring him here. Yes, you can do it.
Okay.
But the problem happens because if you are in the US, proving that you lived with the child for 2 years is a hassle. You cannot leave your jobs, your life here, go to a country which like the US, live there for 2 years with a child, then come back. If you want to do that, sure. But again, if your child is from Hague Convention, you cannot do it. You have to follow Hague rules.
Okay. This is getting really interesting, and I have more questions for you, Attorney Ishan. But before that, for our audience, for their benefit, I would just want to tell them that we're talking about international adoption and other immigration options for children. And that's the topic that we are discussing today. And just for your benefit, I want to tell you that you're watching us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So whichever platform you're watching us, drop us a heart or a thumbs up. Let us know that you're liking our conversation today. And if you have any comments for us or any questions for us, be sure to send them to us in the comment section. Or if you're watching a recorded version, send an email to us, info@chugh.com. That's INFO @CHUGH.com. And just want to give away a disclaimer that the conversation that's happening today is for informational purposes only and does not create an attorney-client relationship. So, Attorney Ishan, we spoke about the Hague Convention, we spoke about the non-Hague Convention, we spoke about the processes that are involved, not just for the child, but also for the would-be parents, right? Now, and we also touched upon the whole citizenship aspect and visa holders and how difficult it might just get for them to adopt if they're looking to adopt. And I feel for people who are stuck in decades-long green card backlog who can't, go ahead with their lives because of that. Could you help us understand steps required to secure an adopted child's U.S. citizenship? So I know we touched upon it briefly. Yeah, we talked about it, but yeah.
The U.S. citizenship doesn't happen it's not straightforward process. There are ways. So if the adoption happens outside, full and final adoption happens outside, then you go for a consular processing. They stamp the passport of the child, and the child travels with a visa to the U.S. And then you have to show joint residency with parents. Then the citizenship comes to you. The certificate of citizenship comes to you. And if adoption did not happen outside, only custody. So there are two ways, basically. First, you can actually adopt the child. Full and final adoption happens outside. Then you bring the child, and the child becomes a U.S. citizen eventually. Okay. If you take only the custody outside, then the child travels with a visa, and then child gets the green card. Mm-hmm. Then if you adopt the child in the U.S., because you have only custody, then you have to adopt the child in the U.S. Once you adopt the child in the U.S., then the child gets the citizenship.
Got it.
Again, domestication is again one topic I would recommend. Even if you adopt a child outside, get the adoption decree domesticated in the state you live in to get a birth certificate of the child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is why, this is so complicated. I don't know how you do it. Clearly you are an expert.
It is hugely complicated, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why, audience, if you are looking to adopt a child or know of someone who is, please share this video with them and let them know that the process might be very complicated, but thankfully, our attorneys know how to make it smoother for every one of you. Now, pivoting to SIJS, which is Special Immigrant Juvenile Status. What is it and who can apply for it? I would imagine it's different from adopting, is it?
It is. So what we are doing here, basically, it's a humanitarian relief. humanitarian protection. All right, now imagine a child coming to the US borders, right?
Yeah.
And the child is unaccompanied. The child has no parents, nobody to take care of. The child is like a minor, 16, 17, 14-year-old. And then US law enforcement take custody of the child. Think about the mental trauma of the child, right? The child is in the custody at the borders. Nobody's taking care of the child. Now, there is humanitarian protection, the US law that says, okay, if you are unaccompanied and if you're a minor, in this case, the minor can be 21, before 21. The moment you turn 21, you're not a minor in this case, this case. Again, attorney, you need to see an attorney. Okay? So there are different age groups. You have to be very careful with the age. 21, if you are 21, not 21 basically, so less than 21, unaccompanied, if somebody can take custody over you, we can file in the family court of the state where the person lives, the custodian person, all right? And when we file a petition to the family court, we ask for two things. Number one, custody. Number two, SIJS, the finding of SIJS, where we have to prove the child is under 21, unmarried, cannot go to his home country because there's nobody who can take care of a child, right? And has no parents who can take care of the child. Once everything is done, you can get a custody. Once you have the custody and SIJS findings through the family code, you can file the petition, the I-360 for the CJs to get the child. CJs, basically, the child will get CJs, and then after that, you can file for the green card.
Okay, so that happens in sorry, my brain is like frozen right now. There's just so much information. So we're talking about children at the border, right? Who are unaccompanied minors under the age of 21 and who have, someone who can take their custody, preferably a US citizen on US soil?
Anybody. No? Even illegal immigrant, even if somebody doesn't have any status. I'm not talking about if they are just at the borders. They can be in the US. So right now we talk about option, children who are outside, right? Now we are talking vulnerable lot who are inside the US or at the borders.
Okay.
And custody can be taken by anybody. Even if somebody has no status whatsoever, can take custody.
Okay, that's really interesting to know. There's also asylum for unaccompanied children, right? Or the humanitarian asylum that you mentioned. I want you to go in a little bit detail about it and tell us more about it.
Yeah, so humanitarian, so we have so asylum and humanitarian asylum are two different things. Humanitarian asylum, again, we are talking about protection, meaning humanitarian protection, right? So in humanitarian asylum, generally, if somebody is not eligible for asylum because asylum standards are high, right? You have to prove that you suffered harm in your home country and you cannot go back because you fear that you will suffer harm in your home country. And the government of your home country is unable or unwilling to protect you. And that harm should have a nexus have a nexus with your race, religion, political opinion, nationality, or particular social group. So if that's true, then you can file asylum. But sometimes humanitarian asylum is for some children we can file who are unaccompanied children, meaning for, again, under 18-year-old, and then they want to file their own petition. And the good news is that they can be in front of the judge, meaning in removal proceedings already, or if they are not, even then you can file asylum for unaccompanied child with USCIS. So again, asylum is of two types, affirmative and defensive. Defensive is when you are in removal proceedings, then you file asylum. And affirmative is when you are not in removal proceeding and you file asylum. But for unaccompanied child, even if you are with the immigration code, you are in deportation, you can file affirmative asylum with USCIS.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you for those insights, Attorney Ishan. For all of you who are joining us right now, just want to let you know that we're about 5 minutes left in our discussion today, and we're discussing about international adoption process and the kind of options that are available for children. We spoke about the Hague Convention. We spoke about the non-Hague Convention. We were speaking about special immigrant juvenile status, SIJS, CJS as it's called. We spoke about asylum for unaccompanied children, or the humanitarian asylum. I want to talk to you about VAWA. A few weeks ago, our attorney from Washington, from the state of Washington, Attorney Anhalita, and I, we discussed about VAWA. We briefly spoke about children, and I'd like you to go into a little bit more detail and explain how children can qualify for VAWA. And mind you, we really have just 5 minutes left.
All right, here's the thing. So first of all, I would like to change the name. VAWA, violence against women, right? It's not violence against women. It can be against anyone. A spouse can be a woman or a man. Child, if the child suffered harm, yes. So you have to show qualifying relationship, meaning you can be a child of the abuser. Abuser, it has to be a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident, or you can be a parent of an abuser. All right, and you must have suffered harm, and you must reside with the abuser. You have to show joint residency, and you have to prove that you have good moral character, and then you are eligible for VAWA. The good thing about VAWA is that if you are in removal proceedings, then VAWA protects you, even if you are in the US for 3 years. Cancellation of removal, you need to prove 10 years of residency in the US. And if you are a green card holder, you have to prove 7 years of residency. But if you are a VAWA candidate, you have to prove only 3 years of residency in the US, and you can be protected against removal. That's the best part of it. Yeah.
Wow. I want to go into U or T visa, but I'm afraid we might not have enough time to discuss about it.
I can sum up.
Yes, please. That'll be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So victim of crime. U visa is victim of crime, and T visa is victim of trafficking. Trafficking includes labor trafficking and sexual trafficking. All right. U visa covers a lot of things. But the thing is that the differentiation between the two is, for U visa, you have to cooperate with the law enforcement. You have to raise an alarm that this happened and I have knowledge about this harm, this thing, and I will cooperate with you to take care of the criminal. Okay? T visa, basically you will be treated as a victim, and if you are underage, even if you do not cooperate, and even if you say, "Oh, I did it myself, I consented," that's okay. Even then, you are qualified for a T visa.
Right. And the minor, and the age of the minor still is under 21, or is it 18?
No. Here, the age should be less than 18. Okay. Under 18. And again, the thing is the age problem. There's the different rules in the US. Even some states 21, some states 18, even for CJs. Okay. So in this case, 18.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Attorney Ishan, this has been mind-boggling, to say the least. You know, I have a lot of appreciation for the kind of work that you do, because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So I want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your insights with all of us. And, you know, when parents or would-be parents, they're looking for options, they don't really know where to begin from. Like you'd mentioned in the beginning of our discussion today, there's a lot of hearsay. There's a lot of information that people try to gather online without really, talking to a qualifying expert, right? And it would really save everybody a hassle, including a child who was involved in the process. If you really, talk to an attorney ahead of time, even before thinking of starting a process, just so that you get an outline of what to expect and what to wait for and what the processes also look like, just making it smoother for everybody. So if you are a parent or would-be parent who are looking to adopt, well, I would suggest please reach out to us. Our email is info@chug.com, and we go live every week, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on our LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Please be sure to subscribe to at least one of these platforms so that you know whenever we go live. Each week we come up with an interesting discussion, interesting topic that might be beneficial for you if you're an individual or even a corporate who are looking for some insights either in the way of compliance, policies, or immigration. So I will see you next week. This is Neha Mahajan. I'm the Business Development and Outreach Manager at Chug LLP, and joining us today was Attorney Ishan Anand. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.